Hey, Heart Seekers, welcome to the Heart's Hello Show, a space where truth meets tenderness and your journey back to yourself begins. I am your host, Kiana Talena, and around here, we don't do surface. We get real, we go deep, and we speak to the parts of you that you thought no one saw. Whether you're in a season of rediscovery, rebuilding, or just trying to breathe again, you're safe here. Let's unpack, unlearn, and unlock who you were always meant to be.
Hey, all right, okay. We are officially in a new year. How you feel? How are you feeling? Did your holiday go the way that you expected it to go? Did you enter into a new year the way that you expected to enter into a new year? Did you go back and think on all of the things that have transpired or had transpired in the previous year? Did you go and do all of that and then you come into this year and you feel like you're behind? Huh? I can't hear you. You so we're only in the first week of the year and you're already feeling like you're behind. Stop it. Just stop. Stop right there. Because you are not behind. Let me tell you what's going on right now. You hear all of the noise. You hear everybody talking about New Year, New You. You hear everyone talking about this going to be my year. You hear them talking about their vision boards. You hear them talking about manifestation. You hear them talking about their goals. You hear, I'm getting ready to work out. I'm going to lose all this weight. You hear all of these things. And so to you, you feel like I have to be doing something as well. I feel like I'm already behind. Let me go ahead and get on this hamster wheel of this new year and start knocking all of these things out. But can I tell you that we're not doing that this year? We're not. And I want to start this year differently with you because I feel like in some of the episodes that we've previously had that I've been doing some talking to you. And so I want to make sure that I am doing more walking with you. And as I already said, January has enough voices telling you what you should be doing. But this episode is about helping. This episode is about you re entering yourself with clarity and not pressure. And yes, we're going to talk about the steps, real ones. And for me, let me just go ahead and get this out the way. I sat down and did something that I have been dreading doing. I wrote out all of my debt, line by line, what I owe, what the monthly payments are, what the APR is, the interest rate. I wrote it all out. And for those of you all, if this may be your first episode, in last year, I was out of work for um, over a year. And so this was the time where I had to get real with myself. And so having re entered into the workforce at the end of September after being out for more than a year, you don't just bounce back from that. You don't just act like things are back to normal. And to be honest, I thought that for me, there was going to be this level of, yes, I can breathe a little bit easier. But then I started thinking about the debt that accrued while I was out of work. And so for me, it was let me look at these credit cards. Let me write out what this looks like. And y'all, this is being truly transparent because And for some of you all, this may or may not hit, but I didn't grow up in a space where we understood and had a good relationship with money. And I've talked about it in previous episodes where, I filed for bankruptcy. I've gone through repossession. I've had all of these things happen in my life. And so I got to a place where I said, this is not going to happen to me again. Anyone else? Anyone else listening where you've said that before? And so what did I do? I went on the grind. I'm stacking my savings. I'm making sure that I don't owe anyone anything. I had no credit card debt. Yes, I had credit cards, but every month I was paying them off. And I was diligent about making sure that my credit score was where it needed to be. I didn't have to worry about checking an account to see if there was going to be money. I didn't have to move things around. And then layoff happens. And I'm looking at what once was a zero balance of a credit card, now carrying a balance every month. We're looking at a savings account that once had six figures in it, and it's not there anymore. And so I got real with me and had to write all of those things out. It had gotten to a point where I didn't even want to open the bills that I had, although there were still savings there at one point and I'm paying things out, but that savings was beginning to dwindle. And I'm just like, at that point before the job and the offer came in, I'm like, God, what am I going to do? But I had to realize that through that whole process, that although this has transpired, I was prepared. And so I said all of that to say this. When things happen in our life, especially those things that we have no control over, when layoffs happen, when transitions happen, when survival seasons happen, you don't always bounce back cleanly. And sometimes you have to crawl back into your life carrying the weight of what happened. And so in this episode, we're going to name it clearly because avoidance is often a sign of overwhelm, not irresponsibility. And so the first step out of this isn't going to be motivation. It's one honest conversation with yourself. It's the conversation I had to have with myself. Clarity, not motivation, is what's going to move us forward and is what's going to get you from where you are to where you need to be. But you're going to have to see it. So again, these are practical steps. This is what I did because I have to walk this out just like some of you all have to walk it out. And so the first step is you got to write down the truth. Write it down. And that part of it matters because we're not trying to fix it, but we do have to acknowledge that it's there. And before you do this, hear me clearly. This is not the moment that you're fixing it. This is just the moment that you see it. And so you are not writing a confession. You are writing a map. And so your action step is that you're going to take a sheet of paper or, you're going to write it in the notes section of your phone. But you're going to write out only the facts. And I'm going to explain what that is. No commentary, no judgment. No, how did I let this happen? Just what you owe, what you earn, and what's currently draining you financially, emotionally, mentally. Because it helps for us to see it on paper, to see it And for me, I'm being completely honest again. I knew what the numbers were in my head. But it wasn't until I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I have to figure out how to get out of this space. And in order to get out of this space, I need to see it all on paper. No matter how it looks, I need to see it. And so for some of you all, it may help that you label this page, this is information, not a verdict, because you cannot address what you refuse to acknowledge. So your step 2 is, this is where most people get stuck, because we're going to go into the facts versus the feelings. So the facts sound like I owe X. I make X. This is where I am. Period. Your feelings are going to sound like, how the heck did I get here? Not again. How I should be further along than this. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is embarrassing. This is how your feelings sound. But remember, I said that we have to separate the facts from the feelings, because your feelings are not going to get the debt paid off. The facts are going to be what the facts are. The numbers don't lie. So we're going to go with what those facts are. So for example, I don't know what your numbers are, and I'm just going to make some stuff up. The fact may be that you owe $8,000 in credit card debt. The feeling to that may be, I'm a failure who can't get their life together. Another example could be, let's see, that you make $10,000 a month. The feeling could be that that's not enough, that I should be making more by now. See the difference between the fact and the feeling? The facts are going to tell you what to do next. The feelings just tell you to stay stuck. So your action step is going to be to draw a line down the page, left side facts, right side feelings. Do not let feelings rewrite the facts, because your feelings, yes, they are valid, but they are not your instructions. Got it? Step 3, choose one area to stabilize first. Not fix, not overhaul, stabilize. Because you don't need to fix everything today. You can't fix it all today. It didn't all happen at one time. And this was hard for me to even realize, because in my mind, you all, I had worked so hard to get to where I was in that space, to make sure that my finances were the way that I looked good on paper. Because again, I didn't have a great relationship with my finances when I was growing up. I didn't understand how to make sure that I had money set aside, and how to make sure that I wasn't spending it all when it came in, and how to establish, saying no to myself of the things that I may want, but I don't necessarily need. I had gotten to a place, and do I mention that my background is in finance? And so for me, again, I'm looking at this like, how the heck I get here? Your background is in finance. Why do you have debt? Again, separating the facts from the feeling. I didn't lay myself off. I wasn't terminated because I did something wrong. It was the job, just was what the job was. And that department was no longer needed. That wasn't my fault. So I need you to realize that it didn't happen overnight, and you're not going to be able to fix it all overnight. Unless you hit the lottery and then, and or some money rolls in and, but just in case, you don't need to fix everything today. You just need to stop one thing from bleeding at a time. So ask yourself, what's the one thing that if I handled it would let me sleep better tonight? That's it. What's the one thing that if I handled it would let me sleep better tonight? Maybe it's making the minimum payment on time. Maybe it's calling that one creditor that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's just knowing exactly how much you owe. Maybe it's just going to the mailbox and getting the mail. Whatever it is, that's your first move. So I gave you the examples of the minimum payment being made one time. Maybe it's your food expenses, getting your food expenses under control. A consistent paycheck plan, one bill negotiated or restructured. You all have more leverage than you realize. Pick up the phone and call. Hey, I'm not going to be able to do this. What I can do is this. Can you work with me on X? See what your options are. But a lot of times, again, finance background here, just giving you some, you know, some food for thought, that you can pick up the phone and negotiate. Tell them what has transpired. Work out some sort of arrangement. Ask them if they can freeze your interest. Ask them if they can lower your APR on your credit cards. You have options, but you do have to pick up the phone and ask. So you're not here again to do everything, but you are here to stop the bleeding first. Step 4. We're not building a whole strategy for the year. Now scrap that. No. See, this is where people get messed up. We want to go too far in advance. We're trying to get things done and get back to where we need to be. We're stopping the bleeding, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is, for the next 30 days, only answer these questions. What must be paid? What can wait? What can I reduce? Who do I need to talk to? See, we're not doing a 5-year plan. No, 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 no. No 5-year plans. By December, I'll be debt free. No, 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 no. Just 30 days of honesty and follow through. Because momentum comes from completion. The vision boards are great, and I say that you should do them. Yes, but a lot of people don't understand what it entails to put a vision board together. There are some steps that you have to take before you even get to the place of doing that. That's not for this conversation, maybe for another, but we're going to stay focused on this. Because again, momentum comes from completion. So step number 5, we're going to schedule a weekly money check-in, 15 minutes max. Avoidance thrives in silence. So once a week, we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to update what changed. We're going to adjust and not judge. Set your timer, 15 minutes. When it goes off, stop. Consistency beats intensity every time. So when I say that I'm having this conversation with you all because it's something that I'm doing as well, we're not going to overwhelm ourselves with things that we cannot control. The numbers are what the numbers are, but we do have to acknowledge where we are. We do have to acknowledge that we need a plan in order to get out of whatever we are put in. But we don't have to begin to lose sleep over the fact that, listen, if it ain't there, it ain't there. There are some things that we can do, and we will begin to talk about how we can, have those different conversations and figure out what other alternatives that we can do to increase income or, what that looks like. But we're focused on right now, today. And so I just need you to remember that you are not behind, because behind assumes you left the race. You didn't leave. You survived. And now you're doing something most people never do. You're telling the truth. You're walking back into your life on your terms, not because everything's perfect, but because you're done running. That's not falling behind, that's coming home. So this season isn't about catching up. It's about re-entering with intention, re-entering your finances, re-entering your truth, re-entering yourself. And if you take nothing else from this episode, take this: that clarity creates capacity. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer lies, especially the ones you tell yourself. So this month, we're not rushing, we're returning. And next week, we'll talk about how to rebuild some confidence without pretending you're fine. And before I go, do me one more favor. Tonight or tomorrow morning, write down just one truth you've been avoiding. Not the whole list, just one. Because clarity doesn't start with a spreadsheet. It starts with one honest sentence. All right. See you then.
If this episode spoke to your heart, I hope you'll sit with it, share it, and let it shift something in you. You don't have to have it all together. You just have to be willing to be real. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep saying hello to your heart. And until next time, I'm Kiana Talena, and this is the Heart's Hello Show, where growth sounds like grace and healing feels like home.